would put on human skin masks.
So that was facts.
That was true. Also, Credo Mutwa, the Zulu Sanusi, verified the reptilian agenda. But what those people were what you call interdimensional beings. They was brought into the earth through a stargate. They was brought in by the one we call Yahweh in the Bible and Zeus in mythology. We call him Enlil in the ancient tablets.
So Enlil brought in the reptiles.
He conjured them up. That's his other family.
That's his other family.
They mirror images of the earth. Right. This is why they put the mirror verse in the Doctor Strange movie. Right. Because once you trap them in the mirror, they can't get out. So they use mirror magic against the Earth Sisters. And they broke the mirror on the crossroads. That's since been reversed. Right. And so once the mirror magic has been reversed, now we got to work on clearing up the lines in the mirror so that all of the sisters can see one mother when they look in the mirror. Right. But you still got the cracks that's working on being cleared up.
Right.
Right. And while the mirror got cracks in it, it becomes a prism. Right. So it looked like you're looking through 1,000 mirrors and seeing 1,000 reflections. But it's when they all come together, they make one reflection. And we call that reflection the Great Mother. As above, so below. Right. So the God man is the man who got enough self-confidence to tell you that the woman is prime creator. Right. Because most of the men is stuck in their ego and they want the God of all creation to have testicles. That's not the case. It tell you that in first trimester, what they call gender identification. When the female, all fertilized eggs are female up into a point.
Right.
When the mitochondrial scan the DNA, it can either make it male and turn on the testosterone, progesterone ratios to make the testicles and the penis drop, or it could leave it to default. And then it'll be a YX male. Or female, I should say. A YX female. Inverted genetics. It looked like a female physiologically, but under the microscope, you see an XY chromosome. We call them seahorses. Right? But that's the answer that nature gave to the ones who came through the Stargate. That's how we know them. And these is the Harvey Weinsteins with the altered genitalia. Right? Because they seahorses. The females got an Audi. The males got an innie. They males, at their appearance determines their rank. When they came to Earth, they didn't look like humans, but after we killed them, they went through phases where they was able to assimilate on the DNA on a very specific codon that determines the physiology of this level of sentient being. All those creatures in mythology has to come into the earth realm in the form of a human. If you look close, you can see the ones that look like spider monkeys. Them long ass arms. That's a throwback to the Atlanteans, the sea monkeys. The ancient Atlanteans had a shorter torso and longer limbs because they spent the majority of their time in the water. Right? So they developed. You remember when you was little and you get a comic book and they got an advertisement for sea monkeys in the back of it?
Yeah.
That's a drawing of an Atlantean.
Damn.
And we still see them today, but we don't know they're Atlanteans. And some people that's quasi-conscious call them reptilians, but they're not necessarily reptilian either. They're a unique hybrid, reptilian mammalian hybrid, which was the original evolutionary process of the planet until it was interrupted, which brings you into when we talking about the God of the Bible intervening, or the Anunnaki intervening in the natural progression of the species of the earth. But the species of the earth been sentient before the Anunnaki came. But it was through military conquest that threw everything off after agreements was made, contracts. See, when Enki came and Alelu came first, he agreed not to attack the planet with his Anunnaki hordes because he had lost to Anu. And when Enki came, he made Enki promise not to overthrow the matriarchy. So this is what made them, when they got attacked by the Andromeda beings, do the contract for the dinosaurs and give them so many millions of years to hunt. But remember, time is an illusion. It's only the space events and to roll out what's called process. Mm-hmm. Without that, you can't perceive time. Right? So when we digging down into the earth, we dig through the strata and we say, this is from this amount of time ago. Well, it depends. It's not always true, because you have upheavals where deeper earth surfaces, and then you have erosions where higher earth is taken low. So all of these things is process of creation, because creation never stopped. It's a continuous process. And as long as the process is processing, you're going through process. So as long as creation is creating, things have to change, right? We don't have to mentally change, but our conditions and circumstances of life have to change. But then the side effect of that is it makes the mentality change, right? Now we got to take control of this great egregore called the universal mind. This is what 85% come into play, because the majority of them is the makeup of the universal mind. Even though they NPCs, their input becomes critical. So now you have to have what's called a master computer telling all the other computers what the proper program is in order for the binary code to be processed throughout the whole system correctly. So now they're trying to figure out the star of life. Right? They don't know what it looked like in 3D. They can't figure it out. Right? Well, when you go to lining people up in rows, you'll start to see it, because everybody got an auric field. Enough auric fields give you that pattern that's called star of life. Right? And then they have what's called the two pyramid star of life that they hold. Tahuti got in his hands in the emerald tablets, right? But the one I'm talking about, it looked like a casa leaf triangle with about 20 different triangles in it, all these different symbols in it. Look like Vesica Pisces in there, circles in there, triangles, all these different symbols, but it's a circle. You see that in the temples of Dendera. And you also see them a lot in other temples around the world. And they look like all these wedge shapes. That's called the collective unconscious. That's the unified auras of all of the people that said enough is enough. And that's how the game is changed at the close of age. And that's why the po-righteous teachers is ineffective until it's time for their effect to take place. Which take us back to Operation Looking Glass and the convergence in on the singularity. Because that's all it's about. Evolve to a point, stop, reset, and then do a new evolution to a different point. It's a relay race. It's the condition they're trying to escape.
It's not, okay, say that again. Say that again, Rob.
It's not here that's the problem. It's the conditions. It's the conditions. We living in the chapter called misery. If they don't feel that way, then the hologram not working. Because how do Elijah Muhammad say dissatisfaction brings about a change? Total dissatisfaction brings about a total change. In other words, change only happens according to the most amount of dissatisfaction. Right? So we trying to get 100 monkey effect of 5%ers to affect the 85%. Right? So it ain't here. It's the conditions that we feel. We feel this shit. The frequency is off. The earth tone is not earth toning. Because when the frequency is correct, when we in a golden age, we have heaven on earth. But when we going through the chapter called misery, we got hell on earth. Which is harsh conditions to aggravate the sentient 5%, to make them so disgusted and dissatisfied that whatever it is that they do, they're going to use that to try to find their freedom.
Lisa said, when will the misery chapter be over?
Hey, I've been crying. Hey, look, I've been wanting this chapter over for the longest, but in the mortal words of Big Mama, baby, it take how long it takes. Right? But it's just the chapter of misery. Yeah. If you don't understand that the misery is the greatest teacher, then you ain't ready to be free from the chapter of misery. Misery will teach you to avoid some shit that you will never learn any other way. A miserable condition gonna make you bring about a happy condition. It's gonna make you pursue a benevolent condition with a rational mind until you find a revolutionary conclusion that we can all be proud of. The only remedy to the system right now is to divorce yourself from it. Everybody is scared to say, take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more. Johnny Paycheck. They don't want to do that because we conditioned so long that it take a certain amount of time to break the conditioning. When you realize that you already rich and they using your money and they paying you out your pocket on your job with your own self money and you just don't know it, that's going to make you quit automatically. Right? Because you're going to be like, I'm sick of this. I'm fed up. But we're going to talk about it for a period of time until we know what action to take. That's why we're talking about it. We vexing and venting and trying to find who else is aware. Right? So while we vexing and venting, other people coming along saying, yeah, man, I feel the same way. Something ain't right. What is it? Now we got them asking the right question. This is not how Earth is supposed to operate. Why do the tribes that live in the jungle have less stress than the tribes that live in the inner city?
That's a $1 million quote.
In the chapter of misery, everything is made complicated by devices. Right? So all of the technology and the advances of technology is the sacrificing of your peace, your inner peace. Because it's all being expressed as technological advancements. Outer peace. Right? But when you stop looking for outer peace and start searching for inner peace, now you're looking for the inner God because that's the only one can tell you where it's at. And that's how you really win the game. The inner God in you gonna make you do what Brother Rich doing or what Ryan Hayes doing in your lane. That's gonna make you the most effective in turning over the system. Everybody got their own lane. Everybody ain't supposed to do what Rich doing. You perfectly engineered to be perfectly you. As long as you be you, you be perfect. Right?
I like that saying.
You're not engineered to be nobody else.
Yeah.
We all got a job, and our job is to be our best self first. If you don't be your best self first, you can't help nobody else. Right? And that's why the 5%ers work is the hardest, because they always start off with the self-work. They work from the inside out. The rest of the world is working on the outside, trying to figure out how to find peace within. Right? But the 5%ers is the pauper guys that ain't playing in the game, trying to find out how to change the game. So they take on all the suffering that the chapter of misery has to offer. And the more powerful they are, the more suffering they take on. When we see them, it's played out in the 3D. They bums, hobos, homeless, they destitute. They was millionaires that went broke and lost their mind. Right? They didn't go broke and lose their mind. They found their mind and went sane and gave up their pursuit of an illusion. Right? Once everybody give up the illusion, then you grasp the reality. You go from fiat money to hard currency. You go from trading in paper bills with no value to trading in silver and gold. Right? You go from offering up your services for credit to fair exchange. Ain't no robbery. I'm not doing shit if you ain't going to compensate me properly. You're going to know your self-worth, therefore you can't be cheated. It boils down to two factions on Earth right now. Those who fighting for the matriarchy, Putin one of them, and those who
fighting for the matriarchy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Kim Jong-un, one of them. His sister, the real leader, but he can't tell nobody yet.
His sister?
His sister, the real leader in North Korea, but they can't tell nobody yet until all of the rest of everybody wake up. America is the last stronghold. We the hardest ones to wake up because we got the most masters on the land right now.
What do you mean we have the most masters on the land, Rob? What do you mean?
So let's say the 5%, almost all of them is in America. The rest of them is scattered around the world, but almost all of the 5% is here.
Damn.
This becomes the driver's seat. The America's become the driver's seat of the great egregore, right? And because it's the way that the ley lines is set up and the earth chakras is set up. We got different parts of the world responsible for different functions at different times. So we know we're going into an Aquarian age. That means that we're going to have air governed by water, which symbolically means spirit governed by thought. That means you're going to be doing spiritual things in a thoughtful manner. And this is what's going to expose everything that was underwater in the age of Pisces. Our heads was underwater. We were seeing on the land, but we were slightly off center.
Right.
Now we are our head above water in Aquarius. Then spiritually, we can see and apply intellect in order to determine if we're going in the right direction. Right. Once we do that and we start to dismantle, we become the great iconoclastic generation. If you look now, hardly any of these youngsters is falling for the old Bible Jesus stories.
Right.
They talk about stuff that our parents and grandparents could barely grasp in their era. Just the basic science of atoms. My daddy came to you, baby. I didn't go to school for that. I don't know what you're talking about. Right? But I can tell you what he couldn't tell you about the atom. Proton, neutron, electron, positive, neutral, negative charges work together in order to give the atom its density and weight. Basics of science, right? But my mama, she can tell you all about the Jesus story, but she ain't never did the etymology of the word Jesus to find out it's Isis in Greek. And the New Testament wasn't in Hebrew, it was wrote in Greek. So who was the Isis 2,000 years ago? That means who was the Pharaoh? That we don't have the tomb. We don't have the grave. There's no Pharaoh in this grave that would have been Isis 2,000 years ago. And it's only one. That's Cleopatra. The name Cleopatra means sea, Leo, panther. Right now we talking about, look at the lioness, Sekhmet, and the house of the panther for the answer. All that's coded Masonic lingo. But your degrees, you got to master your degrees. What the hell is that? The Bible is given to you in chapters and verses. That means stages and degrees of learning. So as you assimilate a chapter, you're supposed to be assimilating a chapter of the book of life. It's supposed to be 80, but they only going to give you 66. So where's the 14? That's 2 masters missing. One is Hiram Biff, the other is the Black Madonna. And only when Hiram is raised will you know who the Black Madonna is. The Black Madonna is Big Mama. And Hiram is the master builder, the grand architect. In order to be the grand architect, you got to be able to engineer and reverse engineer the construct. And we did that with Brother